Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, and on today's video of the crypto market update, the BTC price is smashing through this resistance zone, which we talked about in our last video. And Ethereum is also trading inside this major resistance zone in the 8-hour chart. So, are we going to see the price continue to the upside, or are we going to see the price rejecting from here and moving down to the downside? That is exactly what we are going to find out in this video. And we are going to be starting the Bitcoin weekly chart. On the weekly chart, remember that this weekly bearish divergence is still playing out. So this is what you need to have in mind for the moment. The overall weekly chart is still bullish, but this divergence is something that you need to have in mind until we start seeing the RSI trading above this trend line. Because the last time we had something like that, it resulted in a major price correction on the Bitcoin price. As you can see, we had this bearish divergence, which resulted in a major correction on the Bitcoin price. Inasmuch as we are seeing this bullish reaction on the price of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins at large for the moment, we need to be cautious of this weekly bearish divergence. Moving down to the 2-day Bitcoin chart. The 2-day Bitcoin chart is looking positive. The price is trading above this trend line, which I talked about, that if we can get a candle closing above this trend line, that it will be a positive sign for Bitcoin. And for us to start looking for a move toward the upside, and that we might see the price moving towards 120 to 125,000. But inasmuch as we are seeing this candle closing inside the trend line, I would like to see a close above this zone. If we can get a candle to close above this zone, then we can confirm that this rising wedge has been now invalid for the moment. But for the moment, the 2-day chart does not have more volume to the downside than it is to the upside. And that doesn't mean that it cannot get something like the price moving down to the downside from here. Moving down to the Bitcoin daily chart, the Bitcoin daily chart is moving exactly as I predicted in our last video. Remember that I talked about this yellow line, which is the 0.38 Fibonacci level. At our last video, the price was being rejected here, and I talked about the price closing above this 0.5 fib level, which is this white line right here. And it did exactly as I predicted. The price has been playing as I predicted. As you can see, this candle is shooting towards our next resistance zone, which is this yellow line. So, I'm expecting the next reaction in the form of resistance to occur in this yellow line. Moving down to the 8-hour Bitcoin chart. The Bitcoin 8-hour chart is also playing out exactly as I told you guys in our last video. Remember, we talked about how we still have this bullish divergence playing out on the Bitcoin price. And I told you guys that our next point of attraction for Bitcoin will be the 200 moving average, which aligns with this resistance zone. And the Bitcoin price is smashing towards that right now. And remember also that I told you guys that we might get a price closing above the 200 moving average and reaching to this zone, which is lines between $114.7 thousand market price to $115.9 thousand Bitcoin price. And speaking of this price zone, the $114,000 to $115.9 thousand, if we go over to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, you can see we have liquidity building up exactly at that price range, between 114.1 thousand to 114.9 thousand. And we also have liquidity building up around 116,000. So this is the next area for us to watch for Bitcoin, which also aligns with this daily resistance level, our next daily resistance at the 0.382 fib level, and also aligns with this, our next resistance, which is at $114,000 to $115.9 thousand. And moving down to the Bitcoin 4-hour chart, you can see price have smashed through this resistance and are moving towards our next resistance zone, which is what I predicted in our last video. So, for the moment, the Bitcoin price point of attraction is this next resistance zone on the 4-hour chart, which also aligns with the 8-hour and the daily Bitcoin resistance zone that we talked about earlier on. And moving over to Ethereum on the 80-hour chart, you can see that Ethereum is smashing to this resistance zone, which aligns with the 200 moving average. So, speaking of that, our next area of attraction and what I would like to see is Ethereum price moving from here to this next major resistance zone. As you can see from the past, this has been a major support zone in the past. Speaking of this zone, if we go over to the total crypto market cap, as you can see, the total crypto market cap has smashed through this last resistance zone and moving towards the next major resistance zone, which is between 3.8 trillion to 3.9 trillion. And if we also measure this move from the point of the price, so here is a 2% move. So if we go back to Ethereum and let's say we get a 2% move from here, it will align exactly at 4.1 thousand Ethereum price. But I still believe that we can see the Ethereum price getting to this level because that is the next major resistance that we can see in the price right now. But this candle, however, still has 2 hours to close. So hopefully we close above this resistance zone, but if eventually we do not close above this resistance zone and get rejected from here, then I expect a sideways price action towards the downside in the next day or so. And moving over to the Ethereum 4-hour chart, as you can see, the 4-hour chart is also playing exactly like I predicted from the last video. If we draw this trend line, we recently smashed this trend line and we have this bullish pattern right here, which is also looking very good for the Ethereum price at the moment. But remember I said that I'm not going to take any action on Ethereum until we get a close above this resistance zone. And maybe I get a break and retests, something like an engulfing candle here, then I will move to take trade right here and target another move to the upside. So hopefully the price plays out in the next coming days or so. For the moment, the Ethereum price is looking positive, the same as the Solana price, which is also breaking above this major resistance zone on the 4-hour chart, but I expect a minor resistance around this zone, around $204 to $208. But my next major resistance zone will be around here, around $219 to $221 to $225. And also XRP on the 4-hour chart is also approaching this major resistance zone. I am very certain that we are going to get a reaction on the XRP price on this zone, because if you look at the last price action, you can see this place has been a major area of support on the SRP price. So this is a major area to be looking at the XRP price. I am more likely to take any action if we start seeing the price closing above here. Just now, I am focusing only on my Bitcoin trade, which I took last 3 days, which have been updating you guys about it. I took this trade on Weeks, and if you want to take advantage of this short-term price movement on Bitcoin and other altcoins, you can sign up for Weeks. Weeks is my favorite exchange to trade with right now. There is no KYC needed. That means you can trade from anywhere in the world, and they have considerable trading fees. And also, if you use our link to register, you stand a chance to get up to $30,000 in welcome bonus and also a reduction on your trading fee. Our trade is moving perfect. We are currently up 100%, which is approximately $2,400 in profit. And remember, I also shared this trade on our private Telegram community. So if you want to get daily updates and daily trade setups, you can join from the link in the description. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys on the next video.